Hello fellow book nerds, this is Gabby and today we're talking about all the 12 books I read in August. No, July. Yes, okay. So this is a July wrap up. I know it's really late, like it's mid-July. I'm sorry, I was traveling and I thought I could record a video anyway. And then I also got sick and I was like, you know what? There's no silence in Crete because there are cicadas everywhere. If you've been to Crete, you probably get me, but anyway. So this is a bit late, but it's fine. July was actually the best reading month I've had all year. I know, I'm excited too. I read 12 books, really good. I've come close, it's not like crazily better than others. I read like 11 or whatever, but still, I think it's pretty good. 12. I'm really happy with that. And so many of them were 5 stars. I was shocked when I looked back at my spreadsheet. Like, I think this might have been the best month. Either I was really like generous or the books were just like out of this world. I don't know. But as we discuss, maybe I'll come to some kind of conclusion. Let's just go for it, I guess. So the first book I read was One by One by Ruth Ware. Now this one is an adult thriller. We follow a group of coworkers that like started like a Spotify meets some other social startup, and basically they have gone onto this retreat to a ski resort to kind of celebrate and the fact that their company is doing really well, and they have an opportunity to sell the company and get a lot of money for it. They get snowed in and then there's a murder. So it's basically like your classic whodunit, closed quarters kind of mystery. Really reminded me of One by One. No, and then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Very similar, kind of like dropping like flies, who's done it. It's someone in this small group and we get perspective of 2 people. I was cautiously optimistic. I mean, I loved Turn of the Key, but I thought the ending and the whole like shebang with like wrapping it up was extremely disappointing. Really rushed. So I was like, okay, we'll see. She knows how to set up a good mystery, but does she know how to deliver an ending that I'll be happy with? So I was a bit, like I said, cautiously optimistic, right? And this book had the potential of really pissing me off. It did something that I don't like. I'm not gonna tell you details because it's a spoiler, but let's just say a POV character was concealing really big information from us, and to me it always pisses me off because it's a cheat, especially in a thriller. They have absolutely no reason in their own thoughts not to acknowledge this, and that usually pisses me off. That's why I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but let's see how she executes once I realize what's happening. And I think the execution was fine. Like, I was still a little bit annoyed, but overall I think it made sense. I decided to just forgive and forget basically, and just move on and enjoy the mystery. So I give 4 stars. I would really recommend this. Like I said, if you enjoy And Then There Were None or all that kind of like close quarters, really intimate thriller, it was well done. It was definitely full of tension, and I think the ending was better this time. It was more even. It wasn't like tension. It, like that was the turn of the key, literally. Poof. But this one was more like tension and it kind of goes somewhere, and it had a really high stakes final act actually. So there it completely different than Turn of the Key. So if that annoyed you in the Turn of the Key, maybe this one's for you, because actually I thought that one was done pretty well. The next book I read was A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. So this book is a YA fantasy. It's a second book in the A Torch Against the Night. Is that what's called? No, this is what's A Number in the Ashes series, and or maybe it has a different name, but I don't know it. I really loved the first book, and I feel like a sequel can really disappoint you sometimes, but nah, I love this one just as much. The audiobook was brilliant. I really had a good time. It had a solid story, solid like character work. I definitely had more characters that I cared about more and less, so it's always a bit like, don't care about you when the non-caring characters show up. But nevertheless, I still had a great time. I thought it was just so emotional, high stakes, just Really solid sequel. I give it 5 stars. I cannot wait to continue with this series, and honestly, like, such a good installment. I don't want to talk about it too much because, like, it's a sequel, so if you read Umber in the Ashes, I would definitely actually check out this one because it did not disappoint. Then 2 books that I read for video. So these were The Midnight Bargain by C.L. Polk and Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. So this was for books recommended by TikTok, so books that I saw on TikTok. Someone convinced me to read them, and Umber in the Ashes was actually part of that video, but I read that in June. So these 2 I read in July. So The Midnight Bargain is a historical fantasy. It's kind of set in the Regency era, but in like alternate universe where the society, you know, is like all strict, Regency, all of that, but there's magic, and men have like unlimited access to magic. They can go study it, they can do it through their whole lives. Women are allowed to do some magic when they're younger, but once they're married, they're prohibited. They're put on this collar that blocks their access to magic, and that's because demons can enter like unborn children in women. So they're like, oh well, you're married, you're gonna want to make children because that's your primary purpose, so you don't need access to magic anyway. Then our main character is a young woman fascinated by magic. She loves it, she wants to learn more, she wants to become a master and bond herself to like a demon, but not in a demon possesses you, are more like you work with the demon and demon or like spirit or whatever, it like helps you along on your journey. But the issue is her family is kind of on its last legs because they spend basically all of their money on poor investments, and they think their last chance for like getting money and staying in the society is for the main character to get married well. So this thing happening called the bargaining season is happening in the town, and that's basically when all the young people meet each other and decide who they want to marry. So it's kind of a struggle between her wanting to do magic and her wanting to marry for love and for family, all of that. I really enjoyed this book. It was really well written. I loved all the Regency era. It had a very cute, compelling romance, but it wasn't really about the romance. It was more about like women's right to choose, feminism, freedom, and really difficult choices actually. So I really appreciate the nuanced conversations there, and all of that was really cool. I talk about it extensively in my video, so if you want to check out my full thoughts as I'm reading it, go check that video out. But I gave it 4 stars and I would highly recommend it. Now, Firekeeper's Daughter is a YA thriller or like a mystery novel, and we follow a girl who's half Native American, half white, and then she lives like near a reservation but not on it, and her family, like her Native American family, is really close to her. Her best friend gets killed because of the, what was it, not heroin, was it heroin? There's like a drug epidemic, and she gets recruited by the FBI to help them figure out who's bringing this drug into the community. It's lovely. I absolutely love this book. I mean, maybe lovely is not the right word. It was really hard to read, harrowing, really sad, really poignant, all of those things, but I just thought it was done so well. I especially loved learning about the Native American culture, and the main character's perspective was really cool and unique. Like, she was really deeply rooted in her culture, and she really appreciated it, so I really appreciated that. And the author, like, she's been working this book for years. I just really loved the whole experience. Again, that video, full thoughts, all kinds, not spoiler, but just a lot of thoughts, a lot of rantings and gushing and all of that. So if you want to check that out, do. But I gave it 5 stars, so that's what our second 5-star of the month. Second 5-star, and we're on book 4, and it was, yeah, wonderful. Really would highly recommend. Then I read The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. So this one is a dark academic suspense novel, I guess. I think it's adult. We follow a group of 6 people who have magic, all different kinds of magic, so it's very diverse types of magic, and all of them get invited to be part of the Alexandrian Society. So this is a secret society that kept all of their Alexandrian like books and stuff and all of that in secret, and they know that if they join, one of them has to be eliminated at the end. So it's them like developing their magic, becoming together, like becoming a team. A lot of suspenseful things happen. I really enjoyed this book. I think it was really well written, had strong character, like characterization was just absolutely out of this world, really engaging plot, and it was self-published as well, which I was really impressed by how well the author executed. Overall, I really love this book, but I have a whole video about this book, 5 reasons why you should read At Last 6. So if you want to check out that video, it's been doing so well. Also, I was shocked. I thought no one cared about this book, and apparently everyone cares. Like, that video did so much better than my other reviews. I was like, what? Anyway, so that gives you 5 reasons, very specific things that if you like those things, you probably enjoy the book. So I checked that out. I gave the book 4 stars, and yeah, it was really, really good. Next up, I read Malice by Gwynne. So this one I am reading for a read-along that I'm hosting with some lovely ladies, and we are talking about the whole series. So we started reading Malice in June, Valor in July, and then the other ones follow accordingly. So this is a high fantasy adult novel. It's really, really, really hard to summarize what happens. So it's basically about a world where humans came and they like took the land from the giants, and there used to be gods, but they're dead now, and now there's a prophecy that there will become like a really big bad, but also a savior, and that the giants will rise up and they have to fight the giants again. And it's about like these characters kind of figuring out where they fall with the prophecy, if the prophecy even is real. There's a lot of realms, a lot of characters. It was really confusing at first. I wasn't sure I liked it because I think Hanan told me there's something like 80 characters or something crazy introduced in this book. It's insane. It's very complicated. There's a lot of kingdoms as well. It took me a while to realize that each kingdom is like really small, and there's like a big kingdom with over the big, I don't know, it's complicated. But I actually ended up loving this book. I was so gripped, especially from like halfway point. It just gets insane. It's just insanity. So yeah, so I really, really enjoyed that, and I thought that was really well executed, and the book itself was just so much fun. If you wanna hear us discuss our spoilery thoughts and feelings and everything like that, I'll link the live show up above. But the book was 5 stars. I am so excited for Valor. I need to start it soon actually. But yeah, it was super, super well done. Really fun. I would highly recommend that you join the live show. You still have loads of time to read both of the books. They read so fast once you get into it. But yeah, it was really good. And I read another book by Gwynne, Shadow of the Gods, also really, really good. So yeah, would recommend. The next book I read was The Wolf and the Woodsman by Reid. So this is an adult fantasy. It's kind of retelling of Hungarian Jewish folklore, like inspired by, and we follow a VK who lives in a village, which is like one of the last villages that are pagan in this world that's kind of like Catholic coded inspired. So they're the last pagan village, and their god gives all of their women magical powers. So every woman in the village usually has powers, but Evik is special and she has no powers. And once every couple of years, the king from the very Catholic code, very religious country comes and takes one of the girls because he needs their magical power. And Evika gets kind of volunteered to be given up because the king actually wanted a seer, but they only have one. So they were like, nah, you're not getting a seer. So we're going to pretend this girl that no one likes because she has no powers is the seer and send her to her. I absolutely love this book. It was such a visceral, dark fairy tale. Absolutely just like such good feels. I loved it. The plot was very, very compelling. The characters' journeys were just so compelling. It was all about the characters developing and growing and changing and discovering themselves, and it was morally great and it was amazing. I ended up giving the book 5 stars. So what is that, number 5? No, it's number 4. Yeah, 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. I actually have a whole video where I have a review for it. This one's did terribly. No one cares about this book. I need you to care. I need you to check out my review and tell me how amazing that book is once you read it because of me, okay? Next up, we have My Contrary Mary by Cynthia, Brodi, Ashton, and Jodi Meadows. So this one is a part of the... So there's like Jane series, which is just like retellings of... So it's real historical figures named Jane, and their stories get retold. So for example, there's Jane Grey or Jane something that was a queen for England for like 2 days, and they retell her story. Some other Jane, like there's like 4 books or something, and it's all historical figures, but they all kind of interconnect in this world. And in this world, kind of for Catholic and Protestant, there's like the metaphor of the Protestants being able to the Catholics can change into animals, and Protestants or like Church of England can't, and that's like kind of the war between the face and stuff. So there's people changing into animals, there's all kinds of crazy things, and I really love that series, and I really had such a good time every time I read it. It's just so light-hearted, fun, cute story. And this one is actually first book in the Mary series, so it's in the same universe, but now we're retelling different Marys. And this one is Mary, Queen of Scots, so it's her story being retold with this like magical spin and stuff. So I actually got the ARC from NetGalley, and the ARC was audiobook, and it was the first time I ever got an ARC audiobook, and I don't know how I felt about it. It was like it was something else. So it's not by so the audiobook is not read by actors, it's read by like a computer generated voice, so it's a really interesting experience. But yeah, I got used to it, it was fine. I ended up really thinking it was really cute, really sold me on the whole Mary Frances romance, which I was already sold because of Rain. I only watched a couple episodes of that though, so don't take me advertising anything, I'm not sure, but it seemed cute. Yeah, and this one was like super fun. If you need something light-hearted, fun, if you like history, I think this is a perfect one. It's really humorous, it's really cute. It's one of those like cute ones that I read if I know I just want to have a good time. And I gave it 4 stars, it was really good. Next up, I read She Who Became the Sign by Shelley Parker-Chan. So this book is a historical fantasy or maybe fiction retelling of the rise of the Ming Dynasty. So basically it's gender bent. So the original emperor of the Ming that created the Ming Dynasty obviously was a man. But in this story, it's his sister, because when the actual emperor, or like the boy destined to be an emperor, he died of hunger, and he was given this great prophecy, and then his sister survived, and she was like, you know, screw this, my prophecy is basically being nothing, so I am gonna take my brother's name, go to live in a monastery and survive and become great. And she does, and it's really amazing. I love this book. It was amazingly written. I love the historical aspect of it. I love the characters, the complexity of it. I love the gender conversations and gender fluidity conversations as well. It was really well executed. I gave it 5 stars. I did, yeah. I gave it 5 stars, and I have a full review where I tell you all of my thoughts and really get into it, get to plot, characters, themes, all of that. So if you want to check it out, check out the video. But yeah, I really loved it. It was really good. Next up, I read All the Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. So this book is a non-fiction kind of memoir or autobiography. I listened to it on script as an audiobook, and this one is just tells the story of George Johnson, who is a gay man, and it was a gay black man, and it was about him growing up and what he had to endure, and the racism, homophobia, and all of that, and kind of his lessons that he took. Just a little bit about his life. Like, he's not even old. I think he's maybe in his 30s or 40s. I'm not sure. So he's like a young person, but it was still really amazing to hear about his life and his journey and all of that. I thought it was done really well. He's the one reading the audiobook, so that was really cool as well. I have no complaints. I gave it 5 stars because I thought it was amazing nonfiction. So if you're interested in nonfiction, there you go, check it out. Okay, the next one. This one goes out to Hanan. So the next book I read was The Countess Conspiracy by Courtney Milan. So this book is a historical romance, and not gonna lie, the cover looked trashy, but like Hanan, who's a subscriber and a good friend, she messaged me and she was like, oh, this is like a really good book, and I just finished reading it and you have to read it and it's so good. I was like, okay, maybe I will. So I bought it and I was like, maybe. But then I ended up having like loads of time because I read the books that I had to read on my TBR really early on. So I was like, why not pick it up? Why not check it out? And oh my god, this book was so freaking good. I loved it so much. So we follow a widowed woman in her 40s, I think, in Regency era London, and she has a secret. So basically she's a scientist and she's come up with a lot of like inheritance theories and stuff, like passed on from Darwin. She like discovered more things, but because she's a woman, she never could sell her work and never could like publish in a journal or anything. So she asked her best friend to pose as the scientist and show all of her research and give lectures and write papers in his name, but she would write them and he just read off the script. So it was all of her findings, but he was the one, like, the face behind it. And he really gets tired of all the hate because, like, the talk of inheritance and, you know, animals having sex and then inheriting things apparently is really upsetting to the English sensibilities. So basically he gets like death threats every day and whatever. So he's like, you know what, I'm really sick of this. I want to make something of myself. And it's romance between the two of them. They're so adorable though. Oh my god, so cute. The guy is just too cute. I love them so much. But just in general, the story was like really, really empowering, really feminist. It was about like friendship, it was about family, it was about cutting out people you don't need in your life, it was about claiming what's yours and claiming your legacy. I loved it. I think it did what it had to do perfectly. Like, it was a perfect historical romance in my opinion. Like, that it was everything I could want. It was a little bit smutty, it was romantic, it was cute, it was everything I wanted. So I gave it 5 stars. At first I was like, am I really gonna do this? And then I was like, whatever, you're right in the genre. You know, like, it's perfect specimen of its genre. I'm not saying that this is equal to like God knows what literary treasure, but like, it's a perfect historical romance in my opinion. So I gave it 5 stars and I highly recommend. This is actually a part of the series, but like a companion series. So I think this is a 3rd book or 4th or something. So the characters from previous books were in this one, but it's not like, it's okay. I just read that one. I caught on, but it took me a while anyway, and it would not have bothered me. It didn't bother me really if that I didn't read the previous books. So I would recommend this. It's just so good. It just made me happy. I'd recommend it. If you need some happiness in your life, I'd recommend it. Okay, and the last book I read was The Final Girl Support Group by Hendrix. So this book is a horror/thriller, and it's kind of playing up on the trope of the final girl. So if you don't know, in like the 80s, 70s, I think it was the 80s, 90s, like horror movie slasher craze, in all of those slashers, usually there was a final girl. So this is the final, like, virginal girl that defeated the killer and ran away, and she was the only one from her group that survived. So the characters in the book are inspired by these final girls, so they're like their own universe's version of these final girls. So we have Halloween, Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street, all kinds. I don't really watch that many slashers, but I kind of got most of them. Yeah, and it's about them, and they form this support group. So basically they meet every like once a month or something and discuss, and they have a therapist, and you know, they meet and support each other. But we're like X many years after all of this happened to them, and they've been meeting, and so one of them dies, and the main character, who was like which one was she? I don't actually know which one she was, but she's went through something super traumatic, and she's since then been like a recluse, living in her house, like super protected, like learning martial arts and never talking to anyone. That's like her strategy of survival and coping with it. So she thinks that they're being picked on one by one by another killer. I listened to the audiobook. At first I wasn't sure about the audiobook, but it really grew on me. At first I was like, why does the lady sound old? But then I realized that main character is supposed to be like in her 40s or something. So it made sense. I love this book. I think if you're fan of slashers, if you're fan of like thrillers or like horrors, but like really high tension rather than like ghosts, more like there's someone with a chainsaw chasing you, then you probably like it. I thought it was brilliant. It really well done, really fun. Maybe not fun, but like I really had fun with it, as in like I felt like I was listening to a slasher, you know? If that's what you want, if you just want a slasher in a book form, perfect. This book is really good for that. So yeah, I gave it 4.5 stars. I thought it was a whole bucket of fun. I want to read more from Hendrix because I read Horror Store as well, and that was really good as well. So I'm really excited to read more from him. But yeah, this book was really good. You should go and read it. It's kind of a new release, I think. And yeah, the audiobook was really good, actually. I was really, really into it. But now I want to watch some slashers, and I'm not the kind, like, I'm not scared of slashers, but like, they're not really my jam either. Alright, so these are all the books I read in July. This was really fun talking to you and reminiscing, because we're like halfway through the month, so some of these I was like, I don't remember what I liked. But then once you dig deeper, you know, you find it. Let me know what you read in July. If you read anything good, tell me. What was your favorite one? I don't know what my favorite one was. All of them were so good. Really like She Who Became the Sun, Firekeeper's Daughter was really good. Countess Conspiracy was really good, but for other reasons, I don't know, all of them were really good. I had an amazing, amazing reading month, as you can see. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? 7 5-stars out of 12? My goodness! And one 4.5 and the other ones were 4. I did not give any book less than a 4 this month. Wow, okay. That's already been broken this month, but never mind. I had an amazing reading month. I hope you did too. Let me know what you read. Let me know what was the best one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you could comment, like, and subscribe, I'd really, really appreciate it. It really helps me out. But that's it from me, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!